Salvo, and this is our Tiny Desk concert. Did you find me? I can't remember how it all began. Chance encounter or some awkward blind date thing, or did I find you at some pathetic get together with acquaintances we now regret ever making? But after all this time, that's really matters less than how we meet tonight and make this heart and happiness. Lady, I know you don't believe this. Sometimes it's good, not just to get a reminder. I have been down dark for a bit, and I've been wondering why the world did not treat me kinder. But after all this time, that's what really matters less than which path we take now to make our happiness. Lovely, we lie under the stars, stronger because of our lines and our scars. The sign on the big car reads, just very really old can't be me. Sometimes colliding because we're tied together, long as this drive goes by. Drove on board, took off horns, without losing any of her feminine charms. I hope you don't mind if I say you're like her, son Junes, the way you take on my head when I have that idea. One of those mountains below, soon as now we made it, anybody knows. Bright towers and clean colored roads, we baked in the bones. I pulled from the valley where I once lived alone. The sign on the big car reads, just very really old camping me. Sometimes colliding because we're tied together, long as this drive goes by. And so we sing and dance and try to remember it's alright. It's not alright for lesser loves out there tonight. The cars are out tonight to hear us sing in harmony and leave behind the world's flat, boring, moribund melody and dance with someone who won't step on our toes. That's how it goes when love comes down, 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 when love comes down. It's sweet enough to wait. The sign on the big car reads, just married, where the old camping me. Yeah, da-da-da-da, colliding because we're tied together. We'll drive this race until when love comes down, 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 when love comes down.
Great. Now, there's
And
nothing whatsoever that you can do about all the paleness of my skin and like my general washed out whiteness. I'm sorry. There's nothing you can do about that.
I could look into getting in some Hollywood studios to do some
Uh,
VFX maybe, or
maybe fix it in post production. Is that
yeah,
what
yeah.
you
We'll fix it in post. Just
said?
but yeah. Hey guys, welcome to Chillcast. Today we have a very special episode for you guys. With me right now is the lead singer of Salvo, correct? So yeah, just introduce yourself and how you want to be known.
Yeah. Well, my name is Dan. Um, I'm Dan Lord. I guess some of your listeners might have heard of the band Pain from the way back. And I was the front man for Pain And now Pain is kind of transmogrified into Salvo.
Okay. So what going back to when you guys were known as Pain, how did that all form? Like, did you guys know each other? Or how did that all
Uh,
form?
yeah, yeah. The bass player, Mark Milowitz, and myself, we were great friends, and and basically, he had been in bands for a while, like all through high school. I knew him all through high school. I myself was a little more of a recluse, um, and I didn't even know that I could write songs or create music. I didn't know I could do it until like way later. Later, like normally people like people in high school, they're already noodling around with instruments and stuff, and even performing. There are lots of high school bands, right? And and I just wasn't doing that at all. But Mark was. But then suddenly it just hit me that I don't know. I had like my sister's Casio keyboard, and I started playing, and I realized that I understood it. Um, and 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 so that's kind of how I learned music by ear, just by picking it up. And um, so Mark and I we would get together and start talking about it. We basically got all excited. We're talking about doing it, and I couldn't at first. I had things going on in my life, but then at one point, it's like I know in me, it just hit me. I knew it was time, and I was ready, and so I basically I hit the road and this like white Chevrolet Impala, white. I mean, like white, like me, white, all over, and all I had was a keyboard and this gigantic PV amp, and I put it in the car with some clothes, and I drove a long, long way, basically to where Mark was living at the time, and we just said we're going to do it. So we started a band and we began, and he had a bunch of original songs, I had a bunch of original songs, and we just started building this cast of characters that became the band. Um, and One of the first people we met was also my great friend Adam Guthrie, who he almost was able to make this interview, but he couldn't do it, and I'm sorry. But he was the guitar player then, and he's the guitar player now for Salvo, and also the co-songwriter. And and he was one of the first ones we met, and then we built this whole group of people, like just horn players and keyboard players, and just this crazy raucous band of people. And we started producing and performing this original music
Oh,
to this day. We still have a really vibrant following.
sorry, it cut out for a second right there, but
Oh, vibrant following. That's what I said last.
okay.
Not like Taylor Swift vibrant, but vibrant.
I mean, there's still a chance for the Salvo Eras tour.
It's true. Thank you. I appreciate your optimism.
Optimism, potential, either way, yeah.
Yeah.
But so when you guys formed, what ages were you
Hmm.
guys like?
Oh, right on. Gosh, when we really kicked it off, I was 23 at that time. Um, and but like I said, Mark had already been in a couple of bands before that, even in high school. That's where he really kind of honed his chops playing bass, and writing music. Um, so I was kind of a Johnny come lately at 23, but at that point I knew that's what I wanted to do. So I did it.
Well, it's very rare that when someone gets to that stage of like, oh, I might be able to do this, that they go forward with it. Because I think a lot of what puts people, I guess, like in a disadvantage of like going for their dreams or going for what they want to do is their own kind of like limitations that they set for themselves, I think. And
Right, right.
it's always exciting to see cases like you guys figure something out, you guys figure out what you guys like to do creatively, and you
Yeah,
don't stop yourself. You don't like, you don't go, oh, well, I might not make it, or I might not get this done, or maybe this doesn't
right.
sound how I want it to sound, so I guess I should just not do it.
Yeah,
You guys let yourself keep going, which
Yeah.
oftentimes I
Yeah.
think that's like what stops most people is that self-limitation.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think you're right. I think um, and we were very cognizant of the fact that what we were attempting to do was kind of oddball. Um, and I'm not trying to make some claim that we're just drastically unique band or anything. It's just, especially at the time in the '90s. I mean, when you think about at that point what was huge, right? Was grunge, right? Grunge was sweeping the world, and there was this real push culturally, even subculturally. Like even like in like the cool alternative kid crowd. You know what I mean? There was this push to play music like that. You know what I mean? And as much as I admire and like so much of the stuff from that world, I mean, the characteristics tend to be kind of mm, like a little grim, right? Uh, Heavy, which is great. Heavy, but kind of grim and sort of can be a little depressing, right? Um, and then we come along and our our song ideas were all kind of stupidly silly sometimes. Um, not. I mean, they could be taken seriously because I think the songs were good, but we were just upbeat, man. I mean, we were upbeat and up tempo. We wanted to play fast, and we liked melody. You know, um, Lots of bright melody, especially with the horn section and stuff. And so there we are. We're pushing that, and I remember the town that we were in, which was actually Tuscaloosa, Alabama. That became kind of our headquarters. Um, there was a lot of confusion over what we were attempting to do, and we couldn't really explain it. You just have to play it and say, "Well, do you like that?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. So yeah, going back to your point though, it's you kind of just have to say, well, there's yes, lots of limitations here, but we just need to we just need to do it because we had a sense that there was value here. That it was good.
Yeah, and I also think what's really interesting about your group in particular is that um, because you guys have worked to hone your sound, especially with brass,
Yeah, yeah.
incorporating brass, that online and your group is described, sorry, your group is described as as um as rock, and I still think that makes sense. I
Yeah.
feel like your music group's music falls under that genre,
Yeah,
but at
yeah.
the same time, I feel like it's found its unique sound almost above that. Like I feel like it's a simplification to say just rock. Like, oh, we're a rock group. It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's um, especially like if we were always kind of a DIY sort of band, and so you end up you go online and you try to categorize your music according to the categories, and it's like sometimes you don't have many choices. You just,
yeah.
I mean, and now it's actually like way more. But I remember at the time it was like, well, what are you? Are you reggae? Are you country? Or are you rock?
And then you're like, can we like have a little like thumbtack, a little note on the side that says we also kind of do
Yeah,
this stuff? Yeah, it's
right, right.
just it is kind of funny. Like I don't know if this sounds kind of silly, but like you guys kind of had your own thumbprint with genre, I think. It's like you can't place yourself in these categories, even though, that's like quote unquote marketable and stuff like that. But like,
Yeah,
it's that uniqueness that makes your music interesting and makes it fun
yeah,
to
yeah,
listen to.
yeah.
And that's
I
one
hope
thing
so.
that I
I
like
do.
about it is the
Thanks
brass
for saying.
section.
Yeah, thank you, man. Are you a brass player?
No, but my mom is and my sister is.
Oh, cool. Okay, okay, good, good. All right. So it's sort of in your bloodstream then.
Yeah, DNA, yeah.
Good, good. Yeah. Well, thank you for saying all that. I mean, um, it's kind of a blessing and a curse. You know what I mean? To say, well, we're trying to do this something that's a little off mainstream, do something that's kind of cool and different sounding, but that can also work against you because then people will stare and not know what you're doing. It's
Yeah.
just human nature, I guess. Anyway,
What
but yeah,
I think it's part of the charm of trying to do what you want to do and not fitting to a genre is that typically, and from what I've seen, that attracts specific people. It attracts people who are going to be tied to your music because they found something in it that they like, and it doesn't, seem to blend in with everything else. I feel like
Yeah,
it
yeah.
forms a tight knit community.
That's a good way to put it. I think that's a yeah. I think you're right. And speaking just as a fan of music, I know I've always gravitated to those kinds of performers too. And then when you meet somebody, some that rare individual who has also discovered that same person, man, that's a really cool thing. Like, whoa, you like them too? That's always gratifying.
It is. I can think of many times where I've made friends just through like specific groups like that I listen to
Yeah,
going and that, reaching that commonality, um, despite thinking that, you're kind of alone in this kind of music. Or like, oh, I only like this and no one else really likes it. So I guess I'm alone in this. But then finding that is just so, like you said, gratifying.
it
Um,
is. It is.
and
And
it can lead to a lot of
whatever other
friendships.
differences you might have with this person, wow, we've got that in common. There must be something cool about you because you like that too.
Yeah. So, um, I do have to ask, what led you guys to kind of dissolve from Pain and reform into Salvo?
If it was really, it's all entirely my fault. It's me. That's another Taylor reference right there, and I'm the problem. It's me. I'm the one who 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 brought about this, like, I don't know what it was. Hiatus is the word that came up a lot. It's supposed to be a hiatus, but really, I myself was going through all kinds of uh, like a spiritual struggle, I guess, where I was really wanting and needing to search for something else. I mean, it's just I don't want to like bore your audience too much with too much of this like introspection stuff, but I just totally poured my heart and soul into Pain, and that's where I was like, that's all I was thinking about. All I was thinking about ever was making songs, making more albums, performing them, and putting my whole existence into that one thing. Um, I really did that for years. And that's really not healthy. We have a kind of like that romantic picture of like the artist who's totally dedicated to his craft and all that. But the dark side of that is that means you're kind of you're not feeding other parts of your soul that need to be fed. You see what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so that I think it was that, and I just reached this point where it's like I have got to. I'm really trying not to sound pretentious here, but I've got to search for more. You know what I mean? Um, and so I did, and I'm glad I did. I really am glad I did. It doesn't mean that I think or thought that there was something bad about what I was doing necessarily. It's just there has to be more.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
I'm too much information.
no, it's the perfect amount. And I think your story is a very common one amongst a lot of YouTube creators and other musicians as well. Because um, we're coming to learn that creative burnout, is very much real, and it can
Yeah,
affect
yeah,
even what you thought you enjoyed. Um,
right.
and it can find its way into every part of your life, and kind of start disintegrating things. And like a prime example, a YouTuber I listen or watch a lot, he goes by the name Jacksepticeye on YouTube, and he is one of the most like he's like kind of like the poster person for mental health and positive mental attitude and everything like that. And even he came to a point where he was like, "I guys, I need to take a break." And he's
Yeah,
done that
yeah, multiple times. Yeah.
multiple times, and his fans have stuck with him.
Oh, that's cool.
His listeners have
Really cool.
stuck with him.
Yeah. Wow, that's really cool. I didn't know about that story. That's actually very inspiring.
And the reason I bring it up is that, with in your case, I think it was an important break to take. I think
Yeah, yeah.
because
It,
eventually it could have affected your work or your creative work and
yeah,
everything like that.
yeah. I mean, eventually, if you don't do something about that, it manifests itself in some kind of dark or destructive way. You know. Um, you just I think it's just who we are as human beings, and so I'm glad I did it. And when I came back, so to speak, I was so much better centered. I had a better perspective on things, and I was really ready to do it. And so now it's kind of like I came in. It's like I turned the lights off on some big warehouse, um, to go do something for a while, and then coming back and just a few years ago, turning the big lights back on again, and and I feel so renewed. I like all kinds of stuff, music and writing and all kinds of art, and I just feel it feels like purified or something.
Yeah.
So
And it I can see from, your recent like postings on Instagram and YouTube and stuff like that, that you guys seem to be really into your recent projects. Like I saw that
yeah,
you guys recently just finished an acoustic cover, or not acoustic cover, but acoustic album of your previous songs.
yeah, that's it. We basically took 10 Pain songs and did acoustic versions of them. Um, but it was still, it was Adam, the guitarist. He was on guitar and me on vocals. That was the main thing. But also, our bass player for Salvo is Adrian Marmolejo. He was on stand-up bass, and and a couple of the horn players from Pain, Jason and Christopher. They came in, and it was so cool. It was just something that Adam and I discovered that we really like to do, just to like play these raw versions of these songs where there's no gimmicks, you're not hiding behind anything. I'm singing. If I sing a flat note, it's flat. There's nothing I can do about it. I just have to like do my best, and Adam cranks it out on the acoustic guitar, and I don't know. I think it's a really cool sound. So yeah, I'm very proud of that. That just came out December 22nd on streaming platforms, and we've got a new full length, like a regular Salvo album. I mean, like with the whole band. That's coming out late February. You can look for like a single for that, a music video, and the music video I'm very proud of too. That's coming together really well, and then of course the album itself. With bunches of stuff planned beyond that too. So I guess that's what I'm saying. And what you're right is that we just feel really enthusiastic now, even though we're now ancient and withered. We're still very enthusiastic.
Yeah. Well, I think that, part of finding that creative energy and like everyone being super into it and feeling healthy while they're doing it, I think that
Yeah,
just
yeah,
naturally makes you feel younger, I guess,
it
Um,
does. It's so cool. I mean, and all these people are just people that I love and care for so much, and we have so much in common at this point. It's just I don't know. It's really it's a great thing to do.
I'm personally excited to hopefully pick up a CD maybe of the Pain or the Salvo full album coming soon. You said February?
Yeah, late February. If not the full album, then but definitely a single by then. But the full album to follow. It'll be really good. I'm very proud of that. It's actually Adam and I have talked about it. It's I think the most pain like of all the Salvo stuff we've done so far. Like in terms of having like a lot of that kind of punk rockish energy, and big horns and stuff. It's really it's the most pain like thing. So hopefully that's encouraging to Pain fans.
I am personally very excited, and hopefully, I'll definitely try to pick up a copy. If you are you guys gonna have CDs of that album?
Gosh, it's so funny. Um, I, you tell me, frankly, because following the vagaries of changes in music formats over the years, CDs like went totally dead there for a while, and then now vinyl is ascendant. And vinyl is big now, where
Yeah,
it was like dead for a long time. You know what I mean? Like, who wants a vinyl? That's like something like dudes from 1973. They want vinyl, but now like my daughter has a giant vinyl collection. You know what I mean?
yeah.
and, and so CDs seem to be something that people didn't care about for a while there. You tell me, Alex, should we make them put it out on CD or not?
I would definitely appreciate it because I'm a huge CD listener. When I go on trips,
That's
all I
great.
have in my
I am
car.
too. I still like most of my music collection is on CD. You know what I mean? Before that, I had a huge cassette collection, right? But all my cassettes got stolen, right?
Oh my
So
goodness.
that's okay. I built back up with my CD collection. I don't want to change format again, you know? And I like
Yeah.
to hold something, streaming is cool, but I like to hold something in my hand and put it in a machine and press play.
Yep.
Um, do you have that sense too with CDs? I don't know. I like that.
I
And you
do.
like pick up the liner notes in the CD and read them and get all this nerd information from them. I love that, you know?
Yeah.
So if you advocate for CDs, then based entirely on your word, we will make CDs.
I am so happy about that.
Okay, all right, it's done.
Sweet. Because like when I go on car trips and just when I
Yes,
drive from place to place, I love putting CDs in. It's offline. I get the whole album. I get to
you get
just
the
keep
whole
going.
album. I love that. Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Thank you, Alex. I feel like justified now.
Of course, of course. Um so another question I had written down just because I wanted to make sure that I asked everything. What is it like traveling and performing for audiences?
It's different now. Probably just because um, we're there's just no way we can live the same life, performing life that we did, when we were younger, where no one's married or basically no one's married, no one has kids. You just like jump in a van and travel away. It's it takes a lot more logistics now. I can say that a lot more logistics. But but it's still fantastic. It feels so great, and to get to these places where we play, and have these people be there to receive us, that never gets old. And I'm always so humbly thankful. Just like you'll see people, they come up and say, "My gosh, I've been listening to you for years," and also, here's my kid, and like my kid likes you too. Where you're like crossing generations. And I know, I'm not a megalomaniac. I realize that comparatively speaking, our following is teeny tiny, but our following is so great, and they're there when we go to a town. They show up, and it's so cool. It's so in some ways, it's maybe like has a deeper level of enjoyment for me than it ever did before.
It is incredible to hear that because I try to put myself into the perspective of being like that kind of performer and going these places, and um, I think that's one thing that most people probably don't really realize. A lot of the enjoyment may not even come from the actual concert, but it's the meeting of the people who are your
It is.
listeners,
That,
you know.
that is a big part of it, isn't it? It really is. There's like a magic there that you just can't capture any other place. You have to be there.
Yeah, and it it's the same feeling that you get when you get like a handwritten card or like, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
something sentimental, something, that you can't just buy. It's that feeling.
Yeah, right, and that's like more important to people now, I think, than ever before, just because we've lost it so much. Yeah, I'm with you. I totally agree. Yeah.
So along, well, I guess now it's been a bit. Um, when you guys were paying, you recorded a bumper for Boomerang.
Check, but me and my friends get no respect. So what? Who cares? We're doing it how we like. I'm singing it to my mic, a special underwater mic. Who's gonna save the world? Who's gonna save the days? When they have cracked and stealing earrings with you? Who's gonna talk like girlies and Shirley isn't here? Who's gonna chase down villains and then turn around and run in fear? You know who I'm talking about. He's fat and short on brains and I do not mean Captain Kidd by not mean Jabba
Oh yeah.
Um, how did that come about?
That was so basically at that point. I forget exactly when off the top of my head, but basically, Payne was doing well. Like things were starting to gather momentum. with um, with a following, and and so we had some some recognizability out there in the world. You know what I mean? And the people from Cartoon Network actually they were they were trying to take these old Hanna Barbera shows and kind of resuscitate them, um, like Hanna Barbera shows. You know what I mean? Like from like late '60s and '70s. You know,
Yeah.
and which was stuff that I grew up on. You know what I mean? I grew up like with the television set that only had three channels, and to get up on a Saturday morning when you've had this whole hellish week of school, and then get up, but it's Saturday. That really
Yep.
meant something. You know what I mean? You like turn on the TV and watch like these shows. Um, and you would watch them, whether they were mediocre or not. Yeah, you would just watch them all morning, right? And one of these shows was called Jabberjaw, and it was basically like kind of a Scooby Doo thing where you have an animal that could talk and his friends who were cool and hip, and they solved crimes together, right? Which was basically that's Scooby Doo, and Scooby Doo did so well that somebody thought, I know, instead of a dog, let's make it a shark, and the shark will talk like Curly from the Three Stooges. I don't know how that idea ever came about, but it came about, and I watched it as a kid, and then lo and behold, years later, here I am, an adult, and um, Cartoon Network is trying to basically put them back out, those shows back on air again. But they wanted to like try and make it more hip, you know, and so they were looking for people to make modern songs about the show. That's what that was. So like they came to us. They said, "Hey, can we hire you to write a song about Jabberjaw that we'll use basically as a commercial to get people to watch Jabberjaw on Cartoon Network?" Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, that's what we did. So I like the idea. Actually, like um, almost like the first day, I sat down and I wrote a song. It just like bloop, plopped right out of me. The song about Jabberjaw. It came together like really quickly, and that's the one we ended up going with. And it ended up being a song that a lot of people listened to apparently, and that's one of the songs that if anybody knows anything about us, they say, "Oh yeah, y'all are the Jabberjaw guys." So yes, I hope that did that answer that question at all.
Yeah. Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
And I think it's very interesting, like to hear that there was like an effort behind that to like kind of like re-attract fans to the
yeah, yeah.
shows.
Right,
Um,
right. Yep, that
and
was it. That was it.
yeah,
But I, I didn't. We didn't have to do anything with all that. They just asked us to write the song, and that was, that's what we do. So, yeah, we happily took them up on that, and it was fun. It was I don't know, it was a cool thing to do. And then they took the song and basically like created a commercial for and animated all of us, and so there's this animated version of us and Jabberjaw, and there it is. So it was all kind of surreal for me, but anyway, there it is.
I do have to say, that bumper entertained me and my siblings for like years, like when it was on weeknights, and
Oh wow, that's great.
it it was just such a cool song and such a cool short, and we would watch it so much. And a couple months ago, we were just re-listening to it on YouTube. Just like going through all of the different commercials, like the Magilla Gorilla.
Yeah,
No, what was it? Magilla? Is it Magilla Gorilla?
I know what you're talking about.
Uh,
Yes, it's like
the
the now we're just like making animal noises.
yeah.
I
Um,
I know what you're talking about.
I think it's Magilla Gorilla for sale. I think that was one big one. Um, there, yeah. Uh, anyway, we were watching a lot of those old Boomerang bumpers,
Yeah, yeah.
and um, and we were like, man, these are so great. I wonder if like who was behind these, who were the people behind these. And that's what spurred us, or at least me, to kind of like start researching that. And I found you guys online, and I was like, oh my gosh, these guys are making all this music, and it's been around, and I didn't even know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's like I said, it's a blessing and a curse for you know.
I personally like to say it's a more blessing than it can be a curse, because it
I
y-
I agree.
yeah. And my mom wanted me to say, to thank you for putting that out there, for entertaining us, basically.
Oh
Um,
my gosh, yes, that's good. That's tell her that it was my pleasure. It was all of our pleasure.
so before we end off, I wanted to ask you if, well, I guess we've kind of already covered, but is there anything that you want to like plug? Where can everybody find you?
Mm,
Yeah, stuff like that.
gosh, well, just everybody. Hopefully, will keep their eye on the on keep. Hopefully, they'll get a chance to take a listen to the that acoustic album of Salvo songs that I mentioned. That's pretty fresh and it sounds really good. I'm happy with it. It really came out well, I think, and I think Pain fans in particular will get actually a lot of nostalgia from it. So that's out there. And then, like I said, that new LP, which is going to be called Rusty Valentine, that comes out. Look for it late February, March, something like that. And gosh, people can find us on Facebook and on Instagram as Salvo the Band. We have a YouTube channel. We're on TikTok. I say this because with this like confused sound in my voice, because I don't hover too much around social media, and that's probably not a good thing. I should probably do that more, but but I don't. But anyway, we're there for those people out there who do.
Thank you so much. I do think it is okay to not be on social media too much, because, like we've discussed, burnout is a very real thing.
Yeah, right
Um,
on. Yeah,
but yeah, um,
yeah.
thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for recording all the music that you guys are recording.
Hey,
I'm really
thank you for
excited
listening.
to
Thank you for
listen in.
listening for for supporting us. It means a lot.
Well, guys, thank you for listening. And check out Salvo; they're amazing. And I don't know how to end this by.
Goodbye, everybody.